to have some very special guests
I don't want
tonight.
to be rude about it.
As we talked about last month, we have we brought here commissioners that served in the past, was it 3 years? So we have, yes, has it been 4? Almost 4 years? We have Garcia Chorizo. When Lisa and I first came on, she was the chair. And Kira Shimazaki was also serving at that time. She served 2 years. She served as secretary. And then actually, Jessica, that was your first year, and then eventually you became chair. So we have, it's interesting because we have incoming junior at Sac State, we have an incoming freshman at Chico State, and then we have an incoming sophomore at UC Merced. 2 are going into government politics, right? One's going into ag. So I thought it would be really interesting, you know, hearing from them now that they're almost out into the real world, right? And seeing what's going on. So tell us a little bit, each of you, in terms of what is it that you're currently involved with at school or that you're hoping to get involved with.
Okay, so currently I am the political director of the Sacramento State College Republicans. That's the Republican Party at Sac State. I was last year's membership director and probably next year's chair. So that's what I'm involved in at school. Currently I intern at the Capitol for Assemblyman Travis Allen. He's Assembly District 72, so that's Orange County. And then I currently work at North State Building Industry Association, and so that's just, I guess it's a lobbying firm. So we advocate for builders and developers in the Northern California region. So that's what I'm involved in right now.
Deep in politics.
Yeah. So
And your major in school is?
Major is government, political science. Sac State is the only CSU that recognizes government or political science as government. So I'm thinking about picking up a minor in economics. I'm still not sure yet, but we'll see. I have 2 years left, and then I'm planning on going to law school afterwards. I might stay local. I might go to UOP or McGeorge, or I might go to Washington, D.C. So I don't know yet. It's kind of figuring it out as I go, but that's the plan so far.
Just clarification, you're a political director at Sac State for Republicans?
Sac State College Republicans. And with that, I do a lot of volunteering with the campaign. So we were volunteering for Sue Frost. She's running for Sacramento County Supervisor, so we worked on her campaign. Right now we're working on Scott Jones's campaign. He's running for U.S. Congress for District 7. I also worked on Doug Osie's campaign. He ran for U.S. Congress District 7 about 2 years ago against Vera. He lost. So with that, I do a lot of just volunteer work with campaigns across the state of California. And I travel a lot across the state of California because of that. So this next week, I'm actually going to Simi Valley. We're having a board of directors retreat for the board of directors for the College of Republicans. And so I'll be down there for this next weekend.
And there's spare time she sleeps.
And I try to find time to sleep, yeah.
How about you, Jessica?
So I'm currently in second year at UC Merced. I am involved in the Pre-Law Society, and this semester I hope to join the Democratic Club at UC Merced and the Sociology Club as well. I'm currently working for Sacramento County Voter Registrations and Elections, and I work for the Precincts Department where we're looking for polling places, we're looking for poll workers to work for election days. We prepare everything, all the materials that have to be sent out to polling places. We're currently working on our ballots, see how the ballots are going to do. We're proofing candidate statements and getting our sample booklets ready to be mailed out. And that's about it.
And Kira?
I am not involved in school right now. I just graduated high school in June, in class 2016. This year I'll be attending CSU Chico. I leave in a couple weeks to go move into the dorms and start getting my GE and taking 2 major classes. My major is agricultural education. Throughout high school from sophomore to senior year, I was extremely and highly involved in the FFA program for Future Farmers of America and became an officer my senior year. So that's when I was unable to be on the commission, also for sports. So that's my current status right now.
So while you guys are on the commission, can you recall what was your most memorable or rewarding experience while serving as a youth commissioner or committee member, as it used to be called?
I can start. Well, I've had a lot of memorable experiences from serving in the GAR Youth Commission. I remember pretty much everything from it. I remember my first retreat at McFarland Ranch, a very hot day. I remember meeting Assembly Jim Cooper, which was very exciting because that's something that I want to pursue in the future and be Assemblywoman. So that was very exciting. But my most memorable experience was when I stepped out of my comfort zone. I remember that I was asked to serve as chair for the John Moran Scholarship, and I took on the responsibility, not clearly knowing what I was getting myself into. And it was a very big assignment and something that has really changed the person who I am. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I came up with an event, a pancake breakfast. I think that's when I started to step out of my comfort zone. I started to ask people around the community for donations. I started to ask for volunteers. So I did all this event by myself. I had very few people in the subcommittee, so it was a very difficult moment. But there was moments when I said, I just want to say, everything is canceled. I'm not doing this anymore. It was a lot. But I didn't. I said, I'm committed to this. I'm serving in the GAR Youth Commission, and I don't want them to have a bad appearance in the community. So despite every difficult task and everything, I stayed with it. I knew it wasn't going to be a perfect outcome, but I stayed with it. And I remember that day after the event was over, I sat in the street of Ballroom once everything was cleaned off, and I just literally wanted to cry because I was so proud of how hard I had worked for that day, for that pancake breakfast to be overcome. And then I remember I was able to award. So the money was going to the John Moran Scholarship, and I remember I attended awards night, and I awarded the senior with the scholarship, and I knew that that's when all my hard work and my dedication really paid off. And ever since then, I think I have been more of a person that speaks up now. I say what I think. So ever since that time I took on that opportunity to fundraise for the John Moran Scholarship, I'm more of an outgoing person. I stepped out of my comfort zone, so that's my most memorable experience. And till this day, there's sometimes when I'm doing a presentation or something, I'm like, I can't do this. I remember of that pancake breakfast, and it kind of gives me some motivation and encouragement in myself.
You guys have to understand that when we did the pancake breakfast, because again, this is when Lisa and I were just started, she literally was almost by herself.
Literally.
Doing this whole thing, planning this whole thing. And so it's, we groomed it and have, more support, but she's flying solo for a lot of it. What about you, Kira? What was memorable for you and why you served on Youth Commission?
Most memorable that I kind of remember throughout the entire year is when we first interviewed. When I first interviewed, I was in 8th grade. It was the summer right before we were about to start school, and I had to interview in front of the entire panel of the Youth Commission. At that time, I didn't know anyone on the commission. I didn't know Rosita at all, and I was really small in 8th grade. But I feel like at that point, I never talked in front of anybody. I never had any passion right now like I do for speech. But there I kind of learned that it's okay to talk in front of people, and it doesn't matter what you say, just be confident and know what you're going to say. And that's my most memorable experience that I took away from the commission.
I think one of mine has to be similar to both of theirs, is the fact that it brought up some confidence and I was able to learn how to speak publicly. So when I started, I believe a man named Dwayne Osherman came, and he kind of served as my mentor. And so he kind of took me under his wing, and then during that time I started a fundraising subcommittee, and that's where we did fundraising for the John Moran Scholarship. And I remember I was going to go speak at the local Sunrise Rotary Club, and so I went to his house the night before with my dad, and his wife was there, and we were going to prepare a small speech. Very easy, very simple. Looking back now, I think I can do it in my sleep. I could have just made it up like that. But back then, I drafted up the speech, and I got up, and it was just my dad, Dwayne, and his wife. 3 people in the room and myself, and I cried. I started the speech, and I started crying. That's how nervous I was. But then I collected myself, and they were giving me words of encouragement. And after that, everything was fine, and that's when I learned, that was like the breakthrough moment, like, I can do this, I can speak, it's not as difficult as you think. So the next morning I went to the meeting and I spoke on behalf of the Adult Youth Commission. And everything went well. I was terrified for no reason. And then, so another thing that we did was, in order to fundraise for the scholarship, myself and a couple youth commission members, we went out to like Rayleigh's and Save Mart, and we stood outside and we asked people for donations. We bought some candy and like we packaged them and we were giving them out, and thanking people for their donations. And so that also kind of brought me out of my comfort zone. I had to go approach random strangers, hey, kind of explain to them what our cause is and explain to them the entire thing. And people were there giving money, giving me $20, giving me like $30, and giving me candy, or I was giving them candy. And it was just really, really surprising that people were giving me money. But the fact that you knew what you were talking about, and people like that, I think community members like that, you're giving back to the community. Like, you're here on the commission and you're doing good for yourself and you're representing yourself well, but the fact that you're able to give back to your community and give back to other people, I think people really appreciate that. So
It's really putting yourself out there here, and a lot of like
you kind of
stretching outside the comfort zone. So what other skills, and it's kind of unfair to ask this here because I know she's just getting out there, but what other skills do you think are needed to be successful in college, and what should our commissioners now, because I have 7 of them, they're sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to start to think about what does that look like for me when I finish on the other side of high school. What kinds of things should they be thinking at this point, as well as being just graduated, put yourself back as a sophomore. What should they be thinking about now? What kinds of things should they be getting involved with?
For me, I think one of the things that I wish I would have done as a committee member, just knowing that the fact where I wanted to enter, so I'm a government major, and right now for work and for my internship and for my club, I deal a lot with like global politics and statewide politics. So I wish that I attended more city council meetings and more like commission meetings, like the planning commission meetings or the beautification committee meetings. Just that way I was more aware of like what was going on around me in the city of Galt, not just only with the youth side in this commission, but with everything around me. For work currently, I think one thing that I learned out of here is like you have your agenda packets, and for work I constantly look through agenda packets, and that's something that came really easy to me when I started. They asked me, hey, can you look at these agenda packets and pull out some of the main things and kind of like summarize things for me. And so when I started, it was very easy. The format's it's very similar, so I was able to go and pick through the agenda items because I had the practice. I've been doing it for 2-3 years prior. And so same thing with my club. We hold meetings regularly, so we have to record minutes and go through like all the meeting processes and all the the guidelines and things like that. So it's all very similar, and I picked that up here, and I was able to bring it back with me, to my club and to my job and internship. So.
Sure.
I haven't started college yet, but I recommend during high school is to find something that you're extremely passionate about, regardless if that's what your friends are thinking about. I know this is kind of off topic, but in high school I really didn't know what I wanted to do. In college, I went back and forth with different things and never really found something I was passionate about until I kind of stepped out of, okay, well all my friends are taking these classes and I don't like them. So I went to the agriculture route and found that I was really passionate about that. And I have other friends like, oh yeah, I took a ceramic class and now I'm going to major in art when I go to college. So find something that you're extremely passionate about, and that could take till your senior year. It really can. But for sure, find something you're passionate about, and then that'll make picking out college easier. Because when I was picking out colleges, it was, okay, here's a list that I want to go to, but do they have my major? Do they have what I'm interested in? Is the town around it what I like? So, and also go in open-minded. I mean, I just had orientation read. I really like it, but after I went to orientation, I was kind of on my own looking around. It was a lot better than I thought.
Okay. And another thing, just kind of like advice going and looking back at like myself entering my freshman year. I'm pretty sure that all of you guys, seeing that you guys are involved, you guys are either playing sports or have AP classes or, doing a whole bunch of extracurriculars outside of class. And sometimes, my mom told me this going into college, she's like, take it slow, focus on school, just do school and things like that. But you guys are already I can assume that you guys are all pretty busy as it is. And when I started school, I hated it because I just went to class and I came home and that's it. But as soon as I started getting involved, you kind of start enjoying it more. So I would say don't immerse yourself in school completely. Focus on your studies, that's the number one priority, but also find ways to get involved because I think you'll benefit more. You'll benefit more from the education. It's just a different outlook, and I think you'll like school a lot better if you do that.
I would like to add on to that. When I started, so I went to UC Merced, I didn't know anyone there, and everyone would say, don't join any clubs your first semester because college is hard. So what I would do is I'd go to my dorm, I'd go to school, I'd go to my dorm. Every day, I'd come home once a month. By the end of first semester, I told my parents, I don't want to go to UC Merced anymore. I hate it and I hate school. And it was because I wasn't being involved. I was being so much involved in high school that when I was in college, I wasn't doing much. So that kind of affected me, and I wish that that's something I would have done different. I wish that since my first semester, maybe I wouldn't have joined 3 or 4 clubs, that I would have joined 1. And that's where mostly you make most of your friends, because for me that was a difficult task for me to make more friends when I was in college because I wasn't being involved. Yeah, I had 1 or 2 friends in a few classes, but then after the semester was over, it's like I didn't talk to them at all. So that's something I definitely wish I would have done different. It's like not being involved in 3 or 4 clubs, like I said, but being involved in 1 or 2. And also something that I wish I would have done different since I was in high school was it's never too early to start on college applications, on scholarships. I was a sophomore when I started my first college applications, and you have mentors, you have teachers, and they're there for you to help you. And I wish I would have taken that opportunity, since sophomore year, start filling out those scholarships, have your teachers look over them, and those will come in hand when you're in senior year. You're like, oh, I wrote this essay kind of like this, and you change and add up a little bit. So it's never too early to start looking into colleges, what major you want to study, or even applying for scholarships, because there's a lot of scholarships out there that could definitely help you since you're a sophomore in high school.
And college is expensive. Very expensive.
And kind of like a side note, don't be afraid to do community college too.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, you might live at home. It's not the worst thing in the world though. You save a whole lot of money.
I wish I'd went that route because I currently live at home with my parents, and it's just I'm paying thousands of dollars for classes at Sac State, and I'm paying it out of my own pocket. And my parents help me a little bit, but I mostly pay for it. But I'm paying thousands of dollars where I could have gone to community college and spent like a couple $100. So I mean, if you're community college, if you can't afford to go to a CSU or a UC, community college is perfectly fine. My best friend, she just graduated from Delta. She was the commencement speaker there, and she's transferring to CSU Fullerton this fall, and she actually just finished an internship in DC. But I mean, a lot of people will do amazing things with the community college. It's just kind of what you put into it and how you make it.
You mentioned earlier about how about going to planning commission meetings, city council meetings. Knowing the knowledge you know now, is there something that you would have done different in your role as a commissioner?
As far as attending.
Well, I mean, just, knowing what you know now, would you done something different? What would you do different if you were a youth commissioner tomorrow? If you were sitting at this table with us, having the experience you had in the past, what is it that, God, I wish I would have done that while I was in this seat?
Well, like I said, I think I would have probably attended more of those meetings just to kind of get a feel for what's going on. But also, you get to meet with those individuals and those members of those committees, and you possibly can bring back ideas. Like listen to what's going on in the community around you and kind of find new ideas of like what you can do in the community based off of like what you hear at those meetings.
Yes, fair.
I would have definitely spoke more at the meetings, said what my opinions, because I was a shy, quiet little girl for like a whole entire year until I became chair and took on more responsibilities. But definitely I would have spoke more at the meetings, said my opinions, because sometimes you're scared that what you're going to say is wrong or that others are going to judge you, but no one is ever wrong. What you want to say, another commissioner might want to say it too, so I would definitely speak what you want to say. You're on the commission for a reason. If you see a problem in the committee in the city of Galt, say it now, because now it's your opportunity to change things. So definitely I will have voiced my opinion more.
You got anything, Kara, on that?
I would say is to be committed. If you're gonna say you're gonna be at those meetings, be at those meetings. If you're gonna say that all of you are gonna be on a subcommittee, be there on that subcommittee. Because it really sucks and it's almost unprofessional if you say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be on that subcommittee, sounds really fun, and not show up. Like, stay committed and be consistent, because they take time out of their lives, like, they're not getting paid to do this, and you're not either. So, but in your pay almost as you're getting this experience, you almost have a one-up on other kids at your school, because they don't get to plan these events like you guys do. So stay committed that you guys are here and you're here for a reason.
Yeah, and I think the youth commission offers a lot of benefits. It's just how much time and how much effort you'd invest in it. It's how much you're gonna take away from it. And I wish I invested more time, so that way I can take away more.
So these are people, 3 successful people, like 7 of you are successful. And they're all one of us. You know, we're all, in some regards, we're all one family here. And so they're here as resources for you. What kinds of questions, or what kinds of thoughts do you have for them? Do you have any questions for them? Let them off the hook.
Speak up.
Yeah, don't let us off the hook.
How about adult mentors? Do you have any questions, any thoughts?
Well, I have one thought directed at Jessica. She spoke of how she handled having to put on that pancake breakfast that first year. It was before I joined the commission. But she, that same year, she also undertook chairing the Crafting with Santa. And I was her mentor with that. And this was a new, even though I'd run other events, you know, in my other experiences, this was a new event for me. It was something I'd never done. My kids had never gone to it. And so Jessica rocked it. I mean, she just organized it. She made my job so much easier. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that she had gained that confidence from the pancake breakfast, and she was willing to undertake another project and just gave it everything she had. And like I said, she made it so simple for me to be there, and she was just in charge and handled all the volunteers, and, you know, I mean, we had a great time. The kids had a great time. The volunteers had a great time. They all came back and said, we had fun, which was, you know, it was a big thing, because you want to put on an event where you enjoy yourself as well, and not only those that you're trying to serve. So I have to commend Jessica for not only gaining that confidence and being successful at the pancake breakfast, but almost, you know, wanting to give up and then turning around and coming back and doing it again.
Thank you.
Well, I can tell you, you know, we had one meeting where she came in and it's like, well, give us an update with Crafting with Santa. She's like, well, we're gonna have it on this date, and everyone like shot her down. Do you realize that's the day before this, and that's not ever gonna work? And it's like, she just kind of sat there and, okay, I'll come back with something. I mean, she didn't melt, she just kind of, you know, kept herself grounded, and, you know, she could have quit. But that's, you know, we're hoping that some of these things that she's gone through with the art exhibit last year, I mean, there were some hardships last year, and we had to be really resilient to continue to face the challenges and get over them. I mean, and we're hoping, you know, moving forward with you guys, really create some really good experiences so that you're really ready for the world and to be the change agents that we feel you guys are. You guys weren't picked out of a hat. It was intentional why the 7 or the 10 of us are here, and we're expecting great things. And these guys are resources. If you want to get into politics, there's 2 people right there that you can be talking to in terms of what is the next step, how can I get involved? Because even at your age, you can get involved. You guys have any questions for him?
I just want to say I'm very proud of them and what they've done with their lives and the steps they've taken forward and the lessons that they've learned that they took away from the commission, and that they're so committed to what you are all doing that they've taken time out of their lives to come and to share that with you, and I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of you all.
Yes.
And I have to leave to go get my daughter right now, so I want to be sure I got that in. She's flying through Vacaville, and I'm might miss her.
Go get her.
Go now.
So if you don't have any other questions, I will get you guys out on this. What is the best advice you were ever given? And what advice would you give the commissioners as they represent our community?
Wait, can I add something?
Go ahead.
Based on like what Lisa said, like it's not too early to start, getting yourself in things. So can I ask like how many people are interested in going to like government or public policy or politics in general? So for you or anyone else, if you're like interested in volunteering on campaigns, it's election season, and so from the College Republicans and working with the Assemblyman, I have a lot of like connections. So if you're interested in volunteering on a campaign and kind of getting a feel for how a campaign functions, let me know. John has my contact information, Barbara has my contact information. Let me know, and I'd be more than happy to kind of introduce you into that world and kind of get you connected, because it's never too early to start.
When you got into the commission and you kind of introduced yourself into the side of government type of thing, did you know what you wanted to do when you went to college?
Yeah, no, I'm one of those weird persons where I've known my entire life, or I've known like my life plan since I was 7 years old. So I knew that when I was gonna go straight to school or straight to college after I graduated, I knew that I was gonna major in like politics, and then I was planning on going to law school afterwards. So, I'm just kind of weird. But I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know what they're gonna do, and I think high school kind of gives you that time. You kind of start stressing like your sophomore, junior, you're like, I don't know what to do with my life, I don't know what to do with my life. Well then, like if you don't know what to do, 2 years of college, you're mostly focused on your general ed education. You're not really jumping into your major quite yet. So that also gives you some cushion time to kind of figure out like what you want to do. And college is different than high school. You're with so many different people, and people from across the country, across the world, and across the states. You kind of experience like a whole different culture, and you kind of get insight on like a whole bunch of different things. And so if you really don't know what you're going to do or what you're planning on major, you don't have to stress about it if there's time. I mean, kind of start planning it now because it's important. It's better that you have your major picked out as soon as you start so you can declare your major. But if you don't really know up until your senior year, you can always go and declare it and just kind of figure it out as you enter college. Because a lot of people change their mind when they enter, and I've had friends, lots of friends, that have said, I want to be a communications major, and then completely change their major to like engineering, or vice versa. So you never know where you're going to end up for the next couple of years. But just try to plan it as best as you possibly can. But if you're passionate about a certain area, like here, she's passionate about agriculture, then go for agriculture. If you're passionate about politics, go for government major or something like that. So.
To add on to that, when I started UC Merced, I went as a business and economics major. And I took 2 econ classes. I took an econ class and a business class my first semester of college, and I hated it. I missed class, I'm not gonna lie, I missed class about 5 times because I disliked that class. I didn't want to do anything with it. And I was like, okay, I have to put myself together, I just have to pass these classes this semester. I passed them before I started my second semester. I went to the counselor and I said, I hate econ, I hate business, and I want to major in this. And he's like, well, have you thought about changing your major? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know into what. I have a passion for politics, but I don't know if I really want to do this. And he's like, well, have you taken any politics classes? And I was like, I was in politics 1 this past semester. And just by taking classes, that's when you really know what you want, what your declared major is if you're going to like it. So I took econ and business, and I disliked it, and I knew I have to change majors. And then that's when I changed into politics. So it's fine to change your major when you're in college. Just it's recommended that you do it within your first 2 years.
Yeah, so if you start doing it like your junior and senior, after you have like all of those majors wrapped, or those credits wrapped up, and you decide to change it, it just kind of throws you off a little bit. But
And it's not hard, just walk in one of the offices.
Yeah.
They'll gladly help you.
Yeah.
utilize your
Not hard.
counselors. Utilize your counselors.
So best advice you've ever given, and what advice could you give them serving the community?
I have to say,
I have to think. Okay.
best advice we've been given, or best advice?
Sure. The best advice you've given, and what advice would you give them serving the community? Because one of the things I think we see as challenge as an adult mentor is that their community is their school. And so how do we break through that wall to really think about Galt? And I'm not thinking about Galt High, I'm thinking about Galt. I'm not thinking about Liberty Ranch, I'm thinking about Galt.
The community call.
Well, I
Kind of like a two-parter.
yeah,
Yeah.
'Cause I've
well,
gotten
you can
advice
answer
on-
just one of them, that's fine.
Oh gosh.
I'll answer to the what advice have I been given, right? One advice I've been given, and I still think of it up to this day, was actually given to me by one of the mentors here. And that person told me it's not what you know, it's who you know. And until this day, I still say that. I say that to myself, that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Because you may be very smart and you may know a lot, but that's really might not get you far in life, because you have to network and you have to know people to help you and get to where you want to be. So for example, I did a pancake breakfast and I had the person who was cooking the pancakes give me his contact information. I became really close friends to his wife and his family, and she liked who I was, she liked how dedicated I was, and she offered me a job on the spot. So ever since then, I've had a job every summer, a really good job that I see myself doing in the future, working with politics and voter registrations. And now, since I worked there, I made friends, and then they help you. So I'm currently having an interview next week to transfer to Merced County to work for voter registration. So it's not what you know, it's who you know that's going to help you in the future. So that's an advice that I have taken on from one of the mentors here that gave me that advice, and it's something that I give to you guys. If you're in a community service event and you see someone that you truly admire and that you like what they do, get their contact information, get a business card, because you never know when you're going to need that contact information from them.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I've been giving that advice as well. Like, everything that I've done so far, it's all through networking. Like, I was offered a job at the Capitol working for the Assemblyman, but I met him through one of our networking events for the College Republicans, and I went up to him and I introduced myself. You know, he's an Assemblyman, and I was kind of intimidated, but I went up to him and I introduced myself, like, hi, my name's Rosa Treviso, I'm part of the Sac State College Republicans, and so we've seen each other at different campaign or volunteer events, and so every time I would see him, I would go reintroduce myself, or, you know, he'd start coming up to me like, hi, Rosa, like, how are you? And so then I started interning at his office this summer, and I already knew him, and he brought me on with his team just like that. I saw him at an event, and I told him that I was interested in volunteering for him in his office, and he's like, you're hired, he's like, you're on the team. He's like, just report to so-and-so and tell him that I told you that you're on, and now I'm offered a job at the Capitol, working full-time. So, you know, it's just all about, like, who you know in your network. Like, for me, for the College Republicans, I've known hundreds of people from across the state of California, and they're people like me, students in colleges, but these individuals, I'm probably going to grow up and see in politics for the rest of my life, and because they're passionate about politics, they're probably going to be running for city council in their towns, or, you know, assembly, or, you know, senate. So these people are going to be your network, and the people that you grew up with, you're going to end up knowing them for the rest of your life. So they're just connections that you make later on that you'll cherish.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time and you guys coming in. And, you know, one thing I will be pass along your email address to everybody so that if they want to get in touch with you guys, and I have a couple little party gifts for you, so I really appreciate your guys' time. So, drink up.
This coffee is hyper.
Thank you.
So, anything else from the group?
I just wanted to thank you guys. I really appreciate your advice.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anything from Barbara, who has been here from the beginning and knows these three young ladies?
Yeah, well, obviously, I am so proud of not only you, but really all of the others. And I had no idea that being on the golf youth committee, which is what it was, would make such a difference in your life, the individual life. And I hope, no matter if the others that work here tonight, if maybe they're going to be stay-at-home moms, but I think that it opens a door that you can make the selection of what you want to do. And I just want to say, when we first started this youth commission, I didn't know if it would be a success, but all of you helped to make it a success and keep it, to sustain it so it's still here today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll transition over to next would be our elections, and that will, you guys have been waiting for that,